dirt.
Clean it up. Why?
It's time to work on the drag car.
We're live.
We're live?
We're live.
So this video is essentially starting in the future, Clayton?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
So we have the drag car buttoned up. We're going to show you the footage about that in a minute. We were kind of all over the place for the amount of time it took to get that up and running with the lifters and doing all the measurements we had to do. But we're going to show you that footage in a minute. And the reason why we're pressing on with that is we got the block back, and this is going to be the new setup. And we're going to do a video kind of going over what's going to go into this new engine build and you know, what we're going to do to try to make the big power in it. But since this showed up, we're going to we wanted to get the drag car back together so that we can test it out with the solid lifter setup with essentially the same setup that we had always been running. The things that will be changing on the new setup are obviously a new motor. We're going to use the same, I shouldn't say that. Potentially we're going to use the same cylinder head.
Yeah.
That may change. But a whole new bottom end, new turbo setup, and bigger injectors, bigger fuel pump. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's changing with the new setup. And again, we're trying to make 1,000 wheel horsepower with it. So some of the stuff that had to happen in order to get this back together, I just mentioned about the lash caps and getting the solid lifter setup in there. We had to re-O-ring it, obviously, because we're putting a new head gasket and re-O-ringing it. And we had to redo the fueling setup. And I just wanted to upgrade the pump because we were going to shoot for more horsepower. So I had to weld out the fuel cell, and Clayton and I went through and did basically all new lines and everything for the new fuel pump and the new fuel filters and stuff like that. You'll see some of that in the footage coming. But it's ready to basically go on the dyno. So let's get to the footage of how it got to here. It's time to work on the drag car.
So it's going to look pretty to work on it?
I'm tired of looking at it dusty, I guess. So we started working on the cylinder head with the solid lifters. Well, it seems like it's been, what, like months now, Clayton?
Yeah.
But it's been a long...
We don't just work on this.
Yeah, it's been a long, tedious process to go to solid lifters on this cylinder head with all the lash caps and doing all the measurements and getting the right lash caps and screwing a bunch of stuff up. We got 50% right, Clayton.
It was a 50?
50%, yeah.
That's not bad.
Not bad, but not awesome. So I have the last...
Could have been 100% wrong.
Could have been 100% wrong, yeah. So I got the last order of lash caps coming to hopefully finalize that. And as I would have mentioned probably in a previous video, although I'm building a whole new engine setup and a whole new engine program and new turbo and all that stuff, I wanted to just test out, since I have a dyno, I wanted to test out what the solid lifters kind of bring to the table with the same setup that I had. So although my old turbo's been sold to our buddy Greg, he's going to send me the turbo back so I can just throw it on and test it out. I have lots of good data with this car at the 700 wheel horsepower range. So because I have all that information, we're going to just kind of set it up like it was and then see what else we can get out of it at that kind of boost level. So
it's just a bunch more work for us, that's all.
Totally a bunch more work for no reason other than to learn a little bit. So if we can score, you know, any little bit of horsepower out of it, aside from being able to rev it further, yes, that we will be able to do that. But if we can score a little bit of power out of it, and I can, you know, risk playing with this one a little bit more because we know we got a new engine going in. So playing with fuel pressure and timing and all that stuff.
As long as the head stays together, we're golden.
Yeah, as long as the head stays together, golden. So that motor, I mean, I would have mentioned it. Actually, let's back it up, Clayton. This video, it's been a year since I decided, well, Clayton and I talked about it for a long time, but I finally pulled the trigger and said, I'm gonna start doing some YouTube content. Me, I've said it before,
on
my cell phone, awkwardly talking about this car here. So
now it's just on a better camera, talking awkwardly.
yeah, still talking awkwardly, but just on a better camera. So it's been a year. So we thank everybody that's subscribed. We kind of promised to try to make a video a week, and I think we got 51 videos this year.
We'll maybe end up with 51. I think we're at 49 now.
Okay, so we're very close to having one a week.
We might still be able to do it.
For the entire year. So we appreciate everybody following along and subscribing, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already.
And commenting.
We appreciate everything. So I totally lost track. It's been a year since we kind of tore it apart. COVID put a stop to everything. We had no drag racing here this season.
And that really is part of the huge reason why this was not rushed. It was back burner beyond.
Yeah, as soon as the tracks were closed, we were just like, let's work on everybody else's stuff. So, I don't know where I was or where I was going with this conversation. Either way, we got some things to play with, some things we want to change, and just to see what we can make for power with this setup before we dump the whole new engine setup into it with new turbo. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Totally off track here. This motor has, like I said, a boost line rods, JE pistons, bigger pins. It has all the stuff that I confidently can say. I mean, it did 800 and something the last time we had it on the dyno. So I'm not really worried about the engine setup, but we'll just see what it can do with the solid lifters. So on that note, we got a lot of work to do. We're first probably going to tear the intercooler off because Clayton and I went to do a photo shoot with it, and it launched off the trailer. And
why did it launch off the trailer again?
somebody didn't hook the trailer up to the truck, so we drove like 15 minutes away and
on the highway.
And anyways, we went to back the car off the trailer. I mean, it would be awesome if we had footage of that, but we weren't doing the YouTube thing then. And the car got basically wedged on the trailer. We had no tools, no jacks, nothing.
Yeah, so the trailer, the A-frame of it pulled right off the ball.
Right.
And then the car was like almost off. The ramps
so
fell.
The trailer was like this in the air, and the car was wedged onto it, beached onto it.
It had no jack, no tools.
No, nothing. And it has like, a big weight plate in the front, which was wedged onto it. Long story short, the bumper and intercooler were like folded out 90 degrees. Wasn't a good evening, but so we're gonna pull the intercooler off.
The light that night was awesome, though.
Yeah, that's
would have been
not a single photo from that whole event. So we got to pull the intercooler off and check it because it was jammed up. I want to make sure there's no holes and stuff in it, and we'll probably show you a little bit more of the cylinder head. So enough talking. Let's get to it. So the cylinder head. Just we're gonna jumping around all over the place here, but. Just to give folks an idea, we got like a million of these little dime bags with the lash caps. So these go inside here on the bucket. And every one of them has a different measurement that we have to measure the distance, the clearance between the gap, or what?
What?
We have to measure the distance between the cam lobe and the bucket. So
when the highest point is obviously pointing up.
Right. Well, because it's going to be touching when it's
Yeah.
down. Anyway, so that's like we've had the cams in and out, I don't know, a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Put them in, measure, take them out, fit it, get the clearance, blah, blah, blah. Do that a bunch of times. We did it over the last 2 nights, spent a couple hours doing the exhaust and the intake cam, and we're out on a few of them. So I think we got 2 wrong in the exhaust and like 6 wrong in the intake.
Yeah, 50%.
50%. So we got some more coming.
And when we're talking about off, it's like a thou. Like this is how close.
Yeah, like what, carbon paper?
Yeah.
It's like that thick.
Yeah.
But it's wrong, so we're gonna make it right. So that's what's been going on with the cylinder head, and So now the fuel pumps. We were just talking about what has to fit into that small space. We got filters, the pre and post filters.
Is this an unboxing?
Not really. This is just,
Yeah, this. It would just be like, well, there's the filter.
well, yeah, not
It's
that's
a
it. Yeah.
filter.
So these are, although they look the same, these are 2 different filters.
What's different about them?
The microns.
I knew that. I just wanted you to tell the people.
Yeah. But so like this is the size of like most people's fuel pump.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
those
if
are
you're
just
pushing
the
that
filters.
much, if you're pushing that much fuel, you kind of need it.
And then this is the fuel pump. That's what fit in there. So. Cheap. This is cheap. That's all I'll say. This is cheap.
Brushless.
Yeah, so I mean, some guys, when they get to this level, they switch to mechanical pumps and stuff like that. We're going to try this out and keep going with this. And this pump on a naturally aspirated engine on like race gas, not ethanol or like an ethanol based fuel, is good for like 2,600 horsepower or something like that. It's absurd. But because we're using E98, it uses a lot more fuel, and we want to try to make some good power. We're going to give this a shot. Hopefully, it does what it's supposed to. So now, we got to make that fit in there. Okay, so before we start getting the pump in there, we do have to modify the fuel cell that I built. So first things first, we got to cut this off, and I'm going to just basically take it apart as much as I can so that there's not metal filings everywhere. So the level sensor that I have, the slick little one, and the rollover valve and the breather, I'm going to take all that stuff out and then start cutting this apart. Okay, so this is what we got. Yeah, of course. Oh, the light's dying. So this is what we got left to do this evening. Hopefully before, and hopefully get this thing running. So Clayton's got a few more lines to make. And we got the exhaust to put on. The fueling, all the injectors and stuff is already in. Most of the wiring's already done. She's still very dusty. But just the coolant lines, and we're getting close.
Very close. Don't worry about the dust. The running on the dyno.
Dust doesn't, horsepower doesn't care about the dust.
Does it care about rust?
It's a rot rod, man. It's a prime factor going fast. Lightweight. Okay, so we'll put this GoPro back down and maybe do a time lapse.
I know. Oh, it'll crank though.
Didn't do anything. What are we missing?
So it's always the easiest stuff.
Clayton, what did you do? Clearly forgetting something important.
Like a ground.
Like a ground, yeah, I would say. Good stuff, Clayton. The good stuff.
Do you get a funnel?
Do you guys need
Get
this?
the
I'm gonna put the other end on it.
So do you want to go over where the fuel pump?
That was just
Situa-
there to hold something else yesterday.
Do you want to go over why the fuel pump wasn't working?
Yeah, because Robbie couldn't figure out why our power and ground had power and power, and then both of us clued in at the exact same time that I used to have 2 pumps in this car, hence the 2 powers, and we just had it grounded to the chassis.
We're smart.
It's been a while. This car hasn't been touched in a year. We haven't touched this car in, realistically, it's been a year, right?
Yeah.
It would have come, no, more than that.
And
It's been more than that.
Because it came apart at the end of the 2018 season.
really, this is really odd.
19.
Sorry,
Yeah, and this is really odd actually for us to even be working on it now. It's cold still.
Way too early.
Usually-
but
Next weekend.
Yeah, usually we wait.
this is just for learning, that's all. I just want to learn. So, this,
Super cheap learning experience.
well, you know what? It's the fun of having a dyno, I guess.
Yep.
We can, so everything, I think we're ready. We're ready after he gets that done.
It's gonna fire up.
Fire it up.
Might even grab my other camera.
Okay, cool. Why don't you do that?
All right. I'm gonna film you.
People like our jokes in the last video, Clayton. My joke. Did you hear my joke to him, Robbie?
He does suck.
He does. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay, how many leaks do we got in this tank?
Oh, the leaks.
Can you handle that there, Muscles?
Yeah.
Is the battery? Okay.
No, it's disconnected.
Okay. As I wire the fuel pump, you pour fuel next to the fuel pump.
Safety first.
Safety first.
Ah, the smell. Can't wait to hear this pump maxed out. 5 gallons per minute.
Yeah, it's supposed to be quiet. You won't even hear it. It's whisper quiet.
5 gallons per minute, Robbie.
Did you fill it up past the
It's up.
line?
You're not gonna show anybody my fancy fuel gauge?
Yeah. Yeah, which stopped working halfway through the season.
It did originally, but it came back around once I took it apart once.
good.
Ethanol's hard on stuff, man.
Yeah, it has something to do with the fact that that's like China eBay stuff.
No, it's not. That's for a motorcycle. That wasn't cheap, actually.
It looks pretty cheap.
It does definitely look cheap. I agree with you. Okay, so Clayton did a beautiful job with all the fuel lines. And I think we're ready to fire it up. Yeah! Let's hear this new fuel pump, Clayton. You got your mics on? Our new mics?
No, I'm just running the old one right
We upgraded mics, so you guys are gonna have to let us know, and I don't know, we'll tell you when we put them on.
We'll tell you when.
Hopefully the money wasn't wasted.
Definitely not.
Huh? Oh yeah, hold on.
Gonna put some goggles on your face.
Goggles. These
Wanna get a
goggles, they do
light?
nothing.
I wanna get a light, I wanna get goggles.
This is a big moment. Wow.
Well, not really, but it's exciting for the sheer fact of it hasn't been running in a long time. Okay. We'll give it some more power here.
I'm just gonna turn on so you can check the leaks.
Yep, that's what I want to do.
Let me know.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Nothing?
And we got nothing.
Power off at the back?
Oh yeah, the power's off at the back. Did you turn the key off?
I turned it off because Steve told me to.
Yeah. Can't swear, Robbie.
I'm gonna bleep that out now. That takes me forever.
Oh, sorry. Swear words. YouTube channel.
Kids.
Kid show.
Ready?
Yeah.
It's whisper quiet.
Well, it's got to get fuel in it first.
Are you cranking it?
No, I just turned the key on.
What did it do at that time?
Hmm?
Turn the key off
It's off.
and then back on. Don't know why it's doing that.
Is that fuel in it?
Battery just shit.
Everything's hooked up properly.
Maybe just if there's full pressure and it just doesn't make that.
That crazy noise, yeah.
Yeah, okay, crank it up. Let's start it.
Oh, jeez.
It probably won't start.
Want me to start, sir?
Yeah, try. I have a hard time with that weak sauce.
Yeah.
It's gonna give it extra juice.
All right, round 2.
That's
Go.
it.
Ready?
Yeah.
Pump sounds better.
Give her. struggling, all right. Clayton,
Yep.
can I just run, please?
Is that gonna let off a big backfire?
Whoa! You feeling that?
You keep those boxes there.
Which these?
Yeah.
They're just sensors. Loser.
Well, it started.
It's running. It smells so good.
All right,
Again? Yeah. Ready to play? Some things we got to clean up, but we got it. Finally, after a zillion attempts of taking the cams in and out,
Yep.
and just a minor voltage issue tonight because the battery that was in this car, what?
Because we never have good batteries here.
Yeah, and the battery that was in it got sold, so I literally had no battery for this, so I was taking junk. So what do we do now, Clayton?
It's time to strap to the dyno.
Soon, yeah. We got another one to do, but we're gonna start playing with this one real soon. So, Clayton, we're ready for race season, but well, we're not ready for race season.
No, we're not even close to ready.
Because
We're ready
this isn't even the engine I want to race with.
No, we're ready for testing.
We're ready to do some testing on the dyno. All that's changed in this setup from what I was running before was solid lifters, right?
And the fuel pump.
Well, the fuel pump, but the fuel, I'm gonna start the tuning process with the same fuel pressure and everything, so everything will be the same. The up pipe is actually not from this car. This turbo is now belongs to our buddy Greg's. He kindly lent it back to me so that we could do this testing. So that's his turbo and his up pipe that he made for his car. But luckily it still fits this thing. So this was the turbo that was on it. All we're gonna do is try to see what we can make in the difference with the solid lifter, revving it to 9,000+. We'll see what we get out of it, and then I'll probably start messing around with fuel pressure. And since this engine is going to be like a backup engine, I won't like lean on it boost wise, but I may see if we can play with timing and stuff like that, see if we can make any more power out of it. A lot of runs on it at around the 39-40 pounds on the dyno, which makes around 700. So we have good info. Actually made a little bit more than that. I think
Made close to 8, didn't it?
no, but that was over the map sensor that's in it. So that was, we don't exactly know, 45 pounds, something like that. So, but once we get it on the dyno, we got to go through this one, and once we get it on the dyno, we'll start playing and see what we can get out of it. So again, we're not going to push it for power. I don't want to try to make 1,000 horsepower on this one. We just want to see if we can make a little bit more power more efficiently, so that when we get to putting the new engine in, the one that I want to try to make 1,000 with, we might be able to do it maybe with a little less boost or something like that. So the less stress we put on it, the longer it'll live, which
You-
probably won't live anyways.
So you want
So Clayton, that's it. We're ready to get on the rollers. If you have any questions or comments about this old girl, as I mentioned in the year-end wrap-up, this was the car that we first started filming to start the YouTube channel. And here we are again. So if you have any questions or comments, ask them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Clayton,
see
see you in the next video. Okay.